Hello! Welcome to the No More Student Kickoff. No More is a program of the Marjaree Mason Center, working within 5 Central Valley school districts and almost 20 high schools total, providing domestic violence education and intervention to teens. Our goal is to educate youth on the immediate and long-lasting effects of abuse in teen relationships. The program provides a forum for teens to actively engage with one another through dramatizations, advocacy, and community involvement. In a single year, nearly 1.5 million high school students nationwide experience physical abuse from a dating partner. Fresno County is no exception. Violent relationships put survivors at a higher risk for poor academic performance, substance abuse, risky sexual behavior, suicide attempts, and further the cycle of violence. Violent behavior often starts between 6th and 12th grade. Education is the first step to ending the cycle of violence. That's where No More steps in. If we are able to learn the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships, we can break the cycle of violence. Healthy relationships start with you. As a participant in No More, you will gain knowledge through interactive discussion guides of what healthy relationships look like, and understand the red flags and warning signs of teen dating violence. After you have completed training, you will have the power to share what you have learned to your peers through presentations, outreach, and practice. Your Campus No More group will have multiple opportunities throughout the year to host awareness campaigns and outreach booths. Beginning in November, No More will host a red flag campaign, empowering students to recognize the red flags of relationship abuse and what to do when you recognize them. In February, we go big with Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, including activities extending outside of our campus and reaching into the community. During prom season, we'll cover the topic of consent during Sexual Assault Awareness Month in April. Take a minute now to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find us under @NoMoreTeenDV. As a peer educator of the No More program, you are making a difference in building a community free from teen dating violence through education and advocacy for healthy relationships. If you want to do more for No More, check out the Ambassador Program. The No More Ambassador Program is a team of students dedicated to going the extra mile to raise awareness on preventing teen dating violence. Ambassadors receive unique opportunities to participate in additional training, gain leadership experience, and complete volunteer hours doing creative projects, presentations, and outreach focused on TDV prevention. If you are interested in joining the team, ask your advisor for more information. Today, we will hear from a great lineup of guest speakers, starting with actress April Hernandez Castillo, who will share her story of surviving relationship abuse beginning in high school. Followed by prevention and education specialist Pavan Brar will help us understand the red flags of teen dating violence and how to help a friend who may be a part of an unhealthy relationship. We will also hear from Deputy Director Leticia Campos go in depth on how Marjaree Mason Center provides support to those affected by domestic violence. Later, Detective Marissa Jackson from Fresno Police Department will explain how to report relationship abuse and steps to obtaining a restraining order as a teenager. As we hear from our guest speakers, think of the ways you are inspired to continue growing No More on your campus. Together, we can all build healthy relationships.
I remember one day we were in front of my parents' apartment. They were inside, and he and I were having a very heated discussion. And out of nowhere, he just went, boom. And I remember that was the first time he hit me. I went into shock. My body went numb, my face went numb, and I had a ringing in my ear from the intensity. He was about 5'10", and I am about 5'1". He was a very strong man. He was a construction worker. So when he hit me, it was as if a ton of bricks were just thrown at me, at my face. And I stared at him. And I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. I didn't see his soul. I didn't see a human being. I just saw someone who really wanted to hurt me. And I just stood there and I said, "You just hit me." And he didn't respond. It was as if he was enjoying this moment. And that was the first time where I thought, my goodness, I hope this never happens again. As a survivor, when you are experiencing intimate partner violence, domestic violence, it happens so fast that sometimes you don't even realize that it's actually happening. And you hope that it never happens again. So I didn't leave right away, especially because I was so young. I was, 16, a teenager. He was also my first intimately. I was never with anyone else. And so I felt this connection to him. My self-esteem was sort of it tied to his. And that slap continued. And I began to become isolated from all of my friends. I began lying because we would get into such intense fights that I didn't want anyone to know. And let me tell you something. When you want to hide something, especially teenagers, they will tell everyone else before they tell you as the parent. They will do their best to conceal because they are terrified. But really, it's just the shame. And that to me was the most difficult thing to deal with because I was a tough girl, because I knew that a man should not hit a woman. I didn't grow up in a violent home per se. And so here I was hiding all of these things that were happening to me. And when he slapped me, I remember just rushing into the bathroom. And the whole time my parents were there. They had no idea that their little girl, their teenage daughter, was about to embark on the most tumultuous relationship of her life. And for the next 3.5 years, the violence would continue. And so the typical isolation, just lying, emotional and mental abuse, and how he would speak to me. He would terrorize me while I was in the hallway, because we would hang out there, obviously, because my parents sometimes didn't want me to have guests over. And he would just terrorize me in the place where I grew up, and no one ever caught us. And I was thinking, my goodness, there are so many signs, but yet no one is seeing. And it's really because I didn't want anyone to see it. I didn't want anyone to know. And I remember the day where I really thought, this is it. My life is going to be over. It was a summer night. We were hanging out, a couple of my friends, and I remember seeing him, and he was walking. But as he was walking, he was holding hands with another girl. And of course, my friends wanted to retaliate. And I thought to myself, it's okay. I can handle this. I'm a big girl. But really, I didn't want to be exposed. No one knew about my abuse. None of my friends knew how bad it was. And so if I reacted, I didn't know if he would hit me in front of my friends and then I would be exposed. And no teenager likes to be exposed. None of us want to feel as though we don't have it together, right? Because that's what we do sometimes as teenagers. We like to feel like, we have everything together. And for me, that was very important. And I told my friends, no, I have it. Don't worry. And when they left, a part of me, I just wish I would have left with them, because I had no idea that within a few hours, my life came so close to ending. I had a pair of shorts on, and in true abuser fashion, he was manipulating the situation and saying that I wanted to wear shorts because I wanted other guys to look at me, and I wanted to, be in other relationships. Mind you, I just caught him cheating on me. And he just manipulated the whole entire situation. And we went to his apartment and we fought. And I had a white shirt. And within a couple of hours, the shirt was now red. I must have been about 18. I knew that he had the ability to end my life. And I felt like that's where it was going. And so in that moment, when I saw that my shirt was red, I ran out the door, and I wanted to scream. And I was screaming, and no one heard me. I was hoping that an old woman or a chihuahua would make some noise, where someone would have to open the door so I could run in, and no one opened the door. And he grabbed me, and he said, "Now you're really gonna get it." And all I could think about was, if I leave blood on the door, or if I leave blood on the walls, cops will have my DNA. Cops will know that I was here, and my parents will be able to just have some peace of knowing this is where I was. This is all my thought process as I'm fighting with him, because I just knew I didn't know if I was going to make it out. And finally, the fighting stopped, and he walked over and he grabbed a first aid kit. And inside the first aid kit, they come with the alcohol pads. And he began to clean my blood. And he said, "I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did this. I just love you so much." And I looked at him and I said, "Why don't you just kill me? Why don't you just get it over with?" Did I leave? No, I didn't leave. I didn't leave because I was afraid, because I was ashamed, because a part of me sort of still cared for him in a very unhealthy way. Right? Why do women stay, or why don't they leave? Those are the questions. And you don't know why a woman stays, because there's so many reasons. But most of the time, what we deal with as survivors is just a level of shame that locks us in. That we feel as if we have no way out, or that our voices that were silenced can never be heard again. Because we've been hearing someone tell us that no one cares about us, that our voices don't matter, that no one is going to ever love us, that we ourselves don't love who we are. And one day I woke up because I was in so much pain and I wanted to end my life. And I thought, if I just commit suicide, if I just do something to hurt myself, I won't feel this pain and I won't be in this relationship again. And I woke up and I knew my mom had some pills, and I was very calculated. I said, I will just take these pills and pray that I don't wake up. But something inside of me told me that I knew I had to survive. And so I got on my knees and I just prayed. I said, God, if you are real, I need you to save me. Nothing glorious happened, but two specific things happened that moment. I decided to leave him, and I decided that I was going to live again. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know where I was going to get the strength, but I called him and I said, I am done. I am done with this. I am done with you. And I don't care if you want to continue hurting me, but we are broken up. It is over. And that was over 20 something years ago. And today I stand here, a married woman with a phenomenal husband, not my abuser. We have been together for 20 years. He loved me, and I share in my book, Embracing Me, I talk about our story. I talk about how intense it was for him to be with someone who was a victim at that time, which to me, I never really understood that I was a victim. I just knew that I had left a really bad situation. And when when I was writing, I shared that there was a moment because I was very aggressive. I suffered severe PTSD. I was violent, not towards him, but I could be very violent if I felt threatened. And we were having a discussion that any typical relationship, when you have heated discussions, but because of my PTSD, I remember I spoke to him in a very derogatory way. And he looked at me and he said, I love you, but I love me more. And you cannot talk to me or treat me that way because I did not abuse you. And I was a hot mess. I thought, oh my goodness, I am repeating the cycle because I didn't get any help, because I didn't know of a Marjaree Mason Center. I didn't know of a DoSomething.org or Love is Respect, all of these resources that so many people have today, or the telephone, right? I lived in a time where we didn't have cell phones. We had the yellow pages, or we had a random church event, and not even of if you felt safe or if you were in an abusive relationship. But at that time, I was in a Catholic school and I wasn't even supposed to be having sex, if I can say that freely. So I definitely was not going to share that I was in an abusive relationship. And so when I'm working with parents, when I'm facilitating workshops, I'm always telling the parents, there are always signs. If my parents would have looked a little harder, they would have seen all the things that I destroyed in my room. And that's what I encourage so many of us to speak up. If you see something, say something. And I know that it is so terrifying. It is so terrifying to speak up because you don't want to hurt anyone, especially with teenagers, right? Loyalty and trust are so important. They know that if I express this to a faculty member or teacher, staff member, I'll be taken away. So I rather talk to my friends. So what do we do when that happens? And sometimes it's just being an ear. It's just providing them with so many resources now that we have, and allowing them to just sort of say, hey, we're here. If you suspect, right? Hey, we're just here. We want you to know we support you. If I would have heard those words from a teacher, maybe I would have said something. But because I knew that if I did say something, I would get in trouble. Not necessarily get the help, but I would get in trouble. And I also think about the boundaries that my husband at that time when we were just dating put up. And sometimes we feel afraid to put boundaries or set boundaries to our relationships, to our friendships. But it is so important. It is so important that we know our values, our standards. And the moment that they are not honored, that's when we look at the relationship and say, hey, you know what? I don't think this is working for me. Let me try to move on. Let me try to surround myself with other kinds of friends. And when we are aware, when we are willing to just say, okay, I don't want to be afraid as a parent, as a teacher, as a youth advocate, I don't want to be afraid anymore to have these conversations. And what I love encouraging parents, don't be afraid to invade, right? Don't be afraid to invade. Now, I know that sounds harsh because we live in a time where we want to honor and respect our kids. But let me tell you something. Domestic violence doesn't honor anyone. Abuse doesn't honor anyone. It doesn't respect anyone. It doesn't care about race, gender. It affects everyone at all levels. So it is our duty. It is our duty to speak up, to take action.
1 in 3 teens experience relationship abuse. Chances are you may know someone who is experiencing or has experienced relationship abuse. As a Know More peer educator, someone may share their experiences with you. What do you do when that happens? We'll be reviewing how to identify behaviors of survivors of dating violence and how to help them. We'll review some red flag behaviors of unhealthy and abusive relationships. In order to address the cycle of violence, we'll also learn how to identify and help people who harm as well. Finally, we'll learn about safe adults and when we can go to them for help. So let's get started. When helping survivors, use our LISTEN acronym. All relationships exist on a spectrum, from healthy to abusive to somewhere in between. If we do not recognize red flag behaviors, we could find ourselves at the abusive end of the relationship spectrum. A red flag is a warning sign that a relationship may be unhealthy. Not all signs appear in every unhealthy or abusive relationship, and recognizing one alone may not automatically mean someone is being abusive or experiencing abuse. But several signs together may be cause for concern. Red flags tell us that we need to evaluate our relationship and communicate our concerns with our partner before the abuse starts. Let's review a few red flags of abuse. If a friend's partner constantly puts them down or calls them names, that is a red flag. If they feel like they are being controlled by their partner, or if their partner threatens to harm themselves if they try to break up with them, those are both red flags. Another red flag is if one romantic partner frequently calls or texts to check in. Also, if their partner controls what they are allowed to wear, where they can go, and who they can talk to, those are red flags as well. In addition to seeing red flags, you may also notice a change in your friend's behavior. Let's review some behaviors of a survivor of relationship abuse or teen dating violence. A survivor may wear unseasonal clothing to hide bruises or marks, such as a long-sleeve shirt in the summer. A survivor may show signs of extreme nervousness being away from their phone. You may hear them say they need to check in with their partner so they know when they are not responding to them. Someone experiencing teen dating violence may participate in new risky behavior, such as drug or alcohol use. They may appear more withdrawn and isolated. A survivor may also show signs of mental health changes such as depression or anxiety. These are just some of the signs of a survivor of teen dating violence. If you see 2 or more signs, it may be time to talk to your friend and let them know you are worried about them. Now that we've learned about some signs of an unhealthy relationship, we'll be reviewing how we can help a friend experiencing an unhealthy or abusive relationship. Listen without judgment. It can be difficult to find the right words to say. However, you can start by saying, "I am here to listen and support you." We want to make them feel safe and create an environment where they feel comfortable sharing their experience. Identify the abusive behavior and know that the survivor may not recognize what the abusive behavior looks like. We want to draw attention to specific examples of abuse, especially if we have seen it. This way, it is very difficult for the abuse to be minimized or denied. For example, you can say, "Hey, I heard your partner call you names and yell at you on multiple occasions. That's actually a form of emotional abuse, and I'm really worried about you." Support and validate their feelings and experiences. Oftentimes, survivors of relationship abuse feel that their feelings and experiences may be invalidated and minimized if they share their story. It is important to let them know that you are there to listen to them without judgment. You can also say, "Your experiences and feelings are valid." Tell them about their options rather than give advice. We can offer various resources or steps they can take based on what they think works best for them. Instead of saying, "You need to break up with your partner right now, they're abusive," you could say, "I saw your partner abusing you. I have a few resources you may be interested in connecting to. Let me know when you're ready." Encourage them to seek help from a safe adult. A safe adult is someone you can go to if you ever feel unsafe, have ever been hurt, or if you're not sure whether a situation is unsafe. A safe adult is someone you trust, feel comfortable with, and who respects your boundaries. Safe adults can be a family member or friend of the family, a trusted teacher, coach, or counselor. It is important to bring in a safe adult who can provide professional support. Survivors often need extra help beyond the support of a friend, such as housing, safety planning, financial assistance, or counseling. You can also offer to walk with them to meet with a safe adult or wait for them after their meeting. For those who are not comfortable reaching out to an adult they know, anonymous hotline numbers are a safe option as well. Hotlines are a great first step for anyone who is unsure of their options. Let's do a short exercise together. Try to identify at least 3 safe adults that you can go to. Remember, your safe adults can be family members, counselors, and others. Even as an adult myself, I have 3 safe adults chosen too. My safe adults are 2 of my older cousins and my aunt. Never give up. On average, it takes someone 7 times to leave an abusive relationship before staying away for good. After you've talked with a friend, it is important to follow up with your friend to see how they are doing and if they would like additional resources. Be prepared for them to not be ready to leave their abusive partner yet. When helping an offender, use our PREVENT acronym. Before we learn how to help people who harm, let's review some behaviors that may indicate someone is harming their dating partner. A person who harms may demonstrate anger or possessive behavior towards their dating partner. They may be disrespectful towards their partner's friends, or family. They may use guilt trips in order to initiate physical or digital intimacy. They may hold sexist beliefs such as aggressiveness is a masculine trait and submission is a feminine trait. They may also feel angry or insecure about their partner's relationship with others. Now that we've learned about some of the behaviors of a person who harms, we'll review how we can help them. It is important to address the person who harms in order to break the cycle of violence. Personal safety. Always think of your own safety first. Remember, even though we want to help our friends, we don't want to put ourselves in harm's way. So if we think a person may lash out or become physical, it is best to go to an adult to intervene. Remind them that violence is never acceptable. Explain that you're still their friend and that you want to help. Let your friend know that you care for them and want to help. You are bringing up their abusive behavior because it is not okay and you don't want them to continue a pattern of violence. Voice specific concerns about their actions and behaviors. Make sure to use specific examples of their abusive behavior so it cannot be dismissed or minimized. For example, you can say, "Hey, I saw you push your partner the other day. That is not okay and it is actually considered physical abuse." Educate them about different forms of violence. They may not be aware of their actions. They may not know that their behavior is abusive. They may have seen other couples they know behave this way and mimicked their behavior. Other times, they are just not aware that something is abusive. Like, for example, requiring their partner to block certain people on social media is considered digital abuse. Never excuse or minimize their behavior. Although you want to remind them that you are still their friend, you do not want to minimize their abusive behavior. An example of minimizing their behavior sounds like, "Hey, I know you threw your phone at your partner because you were angry. Just don't do it again." Instead, what you should say, "Hey, just because you were angry, that doesn't mean you are allowed to throw things at your partner." Talk to them about their resources and finding a safe adult to talk to. Similar to how we help a friend experiencing abuse, we can also direct a person who harms to professional help and outside resources, like the Marjaree Mason Center. A statistic to keep in mind: only 33% of teens who were in a violent relationship ever told anyone about the abuse. That is a staggering statistic. It means that only 33% of teens felt like they had someone they trusted to talk to. If you have a friend that confides in you regarding relationship abuse, suggest going to a safe adult in order to learn about additional resources and next steps. Remember that all relationships exist on a spectrum. In order to help our friends, remember to listen without judgment, offer resources, and suggest going to a safe adult. When helping a friend who may have harmed their dating partner, be sure to think of your personal safety before confronting them. If at any time you feel the situation could escalate, ask a safe adult to intervene. Finally, similar to helping a friend experiencing relationship abuse, we want to offer resources to a friend who may be harming their partner in order to prevent a pattern of abuse from forming. Now you're ready to help a friend either experiencing or causing dating abuse. Together, we can stop the cycle of abuse and advocate for the importance of healthy relationships for all.
As a peer educator of the No More program, people may ask you, what is the Marjaree Mason Center? What do they do to help? We want to be sure you are prepared to answer those questions. The Marjaree Mason Center supports and empowers all those affected by domestic violence while striving to prevent and end the cycle of abuse through education and advocacy. Some of those services MMC provides include safe housing, crisis support, legal assistance, counseling, education and training. All services are completely confidential and provided at little to no cost. Now let's go into further detail for each service provided by MMC. Keep in mind that every survivor's needs are different and met accordingly. Safe housing. The Marjaree Mason Center operates 2 confidentially located safe houses in Fresno County. MMC ensures that victims of domestic violence, regardless of gender and sexuality, are provided a safe place to reside while their traumatic situation is addressed, and while they attain the support needed to return to the community safely. Children's Enrichment Center. The Children's Enrichment Center at MMC provides support to residential children and collaborates with multiple agencies in Fresno to offer assistance and resources to children. Crisis support. 24/7 crisis intake. Victims of domestic violence seeking safe housing and/or services can drop by the Marjaree Mason Center Administration Building at 1600 M Street. They can also contact the crisis hotline at 559-233-4357 or through email at help@mmcenter.org. Our hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All hotline services are confidentially safe to individuals seeking support, help, and information. Safety planning. During any crisis hotline call or walk-in, victims of domestic violence can work with Marjaree Mason Center staff to develop a safety plan. Case management. Case managers are available to assist families in accessing safe, long-term housing, peer counseling, available resources, social and victim services, as well as supporting them in overcoming barriers in their efforts towards living in a domestic violence-free environment. Legal assistance. The Marjaree Mason Center also provides a variety of legal advocacy to survivors of domestic violence, including safety planning, restraining orders, and accompaniment to court. Just as a reminder, children as young as 12 are eligible to request a restraining order and court accompaniment. Counseling. Marjaree Mason Center provides a variety of support services for survivors of domestic violence. Our confidential support groups also provides a therapeutic group setting where survivors can share their stories with one another. MMC also offers individual counseling for children. Children who witness domestic violence are more prone to develop unhealthy relationships in their adult lives. Counseling helps children cope with their fears and feelings and provides strategies for having healthy relationships. LTP, Life Transition Program. MMC's Life Transition Program focuses on educating those who harm in order to stop the cycle of violence. Better's Intervention Program is a 52-week class for people post-conviction or referred by another agency in a domestic violence-related situation. Education and training. The Marjaree Mason Center offers a variety of educational opportunities for those interested in learning more about domestic violence. Presentations are available to community groups, local organizations, and schools. MMC also offers community trainings in order to equip more people with the skills to identify domestic violence, as well as the resources they may need to share. Safe Dates. Marjaree Mason Center's Safe Dates program is a dating abuse prevention program, which includes a 10-session dating abuse curriculum taught in middle school classrooms. The goal of this program is to raise students' awareness of dating abuse and its cause and consequences, as well as what constitutes healthy and abusive relationships. And of course, we can't forget No More. No More is a peer-based education and prevention program that works within 5 Fresno County school districts, providing domestic violence education and intervention to teens with the goal of educating youth on the immediate and long-lasting effects of abuse in teen relationships. The program provides a forum for teens to actively engage with one another through traumatizations, advocacy, and community involvement. Our mission is to educate, empower, and transform the lives of young people by preventing teen dating violence and promoting healthy youth relationships. The services mentioned today are just the starting point. There are many other services provided by the Marjaree Mason Center to anyone experiencing domestic violence by an intimate partner, regardless of gender or sexuality. Accessing any of our services can start with a phone call, an email, or dropping by our Fresno Administration Building. In addition to our Fresno location, we also have Reedley and Mendota offices. Our hotline is available 24/7 for anyone looking for help for themselves, for a friend, or a family member. Services are provided on a case-by-case basis in order to meet each person's unique need. So the next time someone asks you, how does Marjaree Mason Center help? You are now ready to answer confidently.
According to the Family Justice Center Alliance, a nationwide study revealed that 55% of surveyed teens said that they were a victim of physical or sexual abuse in an intimate relationship, and 59% stated they had perpetrated violence against a partner. If you break this number down, it's a 1 in 5 ratio, but that number is probably low due to underreporting. This high number suggests that intimate partner violence is normalized to some extent or is socially accepted. 72% of 8th and 9th graders report that they are dating. Social influences tend to dictate what is non-deviant behavior. This can include what teens are watching on TV, what music they're listening to that objectify their partners or glorify mentally unstable behavior or unhealthy ways to cope with emotional pressures that go with having an intimate partner relationship with a peer. The legal definition for intimate partner is any association between two people, not related by blood or marriage, who frequently exchange in mutual affection in the form of emotional or physical affection or sexual involvement that is not occurring for financial consideration. This can be regardless of sexual orientation. Meaning, I am not paying my boyfriend or girlfriend, for example, to be my date tonight or any other night. I also think that it's a myth that a social code exists that if you speak up and report abuse, it will make you a target. We as an agency did see a slight increase in teens reporting abuse during the height of the Me Too social movement. Often, victims are supported by their immediate friends and close confidants. Schools have protocols in place to help protect a victim who has disclosed abuse or who has obtained a restraining order. A person can report victimization of intimate partner violence at any age. Oftentimes, we see that if a person who is reporting intimate partner violence under the age of 12, it's to report domestic violence in the nuclear home. Typically, over the age of 12, we will see intimate partner violence being reported by the victim about their significant other, not about their family members, for example, a parent versus a parent. Recently, the law changed in 2019 via AB 3189 that a minor who is 12 years of age or older who has alleged rape or an injury as a result of intimate partner violence can now consent to medical care without an adult being present. This also means that if a person seeks medical care and the treating clinician feels that the injury is a result of assaultive or abusive conduct, they are legally obligated to make a report with a local law enforcement agency. The age of 12 is also the minimum age for a person to seek out a restraining order on their own, separate from an emergency protective order that can be applied for during any law enforcement call for service if the officer feels that the victim's safety is in jeopardy. If a person is under the age of 12, a guardian ad litem will need to be filed to obtain a restraining order, or if the person is over 12 but has a disability that would prevent them from applying for the order on their own. When addressing electronic communications, which can be done via phones, computers, tablets, and even watches, any contact that is annoying, harassing, or threatening in nature can meet the minimum threshold for a misdemeanor offense. The bar is really low for a reason. Add on some language about harming a person or placing a person in fear that you will actually carry out your threat of harm, you've now crossed over into serious felony territory. Some felonies that could apply, for example stalking, could result in a strike on your record. Also, sharing intimate photographs of yourself as a minor is the creation of child pornography. If you share the photograph, you could get in trouble yourself. If someone shares that photograph without your consent or your previous agreement that the photograph of your intimate body part, which is your full breast, your full privates, and your face is readily identifiable, it is a misdemeanor crime of revenge pornography, and it could also be distribution of child pornography. What is out there on the internet will stay out there forever. If you give your partner access to your phone routinely and your partner is controlling, be sure to go through your phone and look at each app individually. Some partners who are controlling will install spyware apps that the icons look like normal pre-installed programs from the phone manufacturer. But in reality, the app is linked to your GPS, your texts, your chats that your partner can access at any time on their device. The reality is we will seek out what is known to us. If we are exposed to intimate partner violence in our nuclear home, we will have a tendency to seek out that normal in our daily life pattern and our love seeking. The message of normalcy will be reinforced by social and cultural attitudes that are influenced every day that we might not even think about. But the ultimate reality is love doesn't mean fear, and it's not supposed to emotionally or physically hurt us on purpose.
If someone you know is experiencing teen dating violence, you, as the No More peer educator, can play a part in empowering them to confidently seek help from a safe adult. We know talking to friends about teen dating violence may be uncomfortable, but think about how you would want someone to offer you that same support if you were in their shoes. With these communication tools, the Marjaree Mason Center, and No More resources, it is easier and safer than ever to advocate and educate each other towards healthy and happy relationships. Our friends often may not know they're in an abusive relationship or the one causing harm to their partner. While prioritizing your personal safety, remember, listen with support, non-judgment, identify red flags, educate them about different forms of violence, remind them that violence is never acceptable or excusable, and encourage them to follow through with help from outside resources. Survivors may need more help beyond talking to a friend. Have them add us to their list of safe adults. You can always call the Marjaree Mason Center 24/7 Domestic Violence Hotline, email help@mmcenter.org, or visit us at mmcenter.org. Thank you again for joining us virtually this year. We hope you've enjoyed being a part of this team just as much as we have, and as much as we believe in helping break the cycle of teen dating violence amongst teens like you.